just get started. Let's open in a word of prayer.
Thank you, Excellency. Father, our God, God of the nations of the earth, we thank you for this wonderful opportunity again that you are our heart, that we can learn, Father, to be, oh God, better and, oh God, greater at what we do for you as we deputize for you, Father, reaching out to our brothers and sisters from every walk of life, Lord, to bring peace and health and safety and, God, the undeveloped to be developed, the unskilled to be skilled today, Father. I thank you for what shall be transpired today, Father, even as your son, oh God, Excellency, Dr. Kiwi Kalloo speak. I thank you for the wisdom that shall come forth. For, oh God, as your word says, wisdom builds the house, understanding establishes it. And so we thank you for wisdom and knowledge today. May it drip from our faces, that as we go back to our people, our clan, our tribes, our families, our nation, we will build that legacy, Lord, that will change the landscape of this earth today to your honor and glory. And we thank you, Father, in Jesus' name. Amen. Excellent.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Bishop. I want to take this opportunity to acknowledge everyone on the platform here today. Thank you very much for being with us. With great honor, I count it a privilege to be able to sit here and serve to the best of my ability as God would allow me to pour into your hearts, into your lives, into your thoughts, so that we can be better people and individuals to our families, our society, our country. So I want to thank you very much. I want to acknowledge my chairman, Dr. Madhu. He's not present today. He was not feeling well. Please uplift him in a word of prayer. And also our Bishop, Dr. Joseph Lamoth, and Her Excellency, Dr. Cheryl White, who worked tirelessly with us. And the many other members of the team, my wife, who is tending to the kids, and Dr. Terry Lamoth, Dr. Uba, who is dealing with her mother at the moment. Also, will be joining with us soon is Dr. Lena Hyman, Dr. Sherry-Ann Stevens from Barbados, just all the women that is serving and all the great men of God who are serving, and His Royal Majesty King Assam, all of the great professors, excellencies, with great acknowledgement. We acknowledge you in your various positions. Thank you for your continued support and presence. Our goal here is to establish peace, which we believe that we are the sons and daughters of the Most High God, and we prejudice against no one. We're not here to convert people. We are here to speak life, to speak truth, and to assist in whatever way possible to help to build the mind in a constructive way. So we are the Academy of Universal Global Peace USA. We are One Nation Chapel, the United Nations University for Global Peace, the American University for Global Peace, and Global Apostolic Diocese USA. All those are different arms of who we are and how we function and operate in this great effort to bring peace upon this planet. So today we will be speaking on leadership, Leadership 103. We will be talking a little bit about charisma and how it applies to us and how we should relate to people, how we can better serve people and humanity. So what is charisma? What is charisma? Charisma is a compelling attractiveness to charm or charm that can inspire devotion in others. When we talk about charisma, we talk about something that's very exciting. We ourselves becoming exciting to be around. Charisma is a broad term, and there are several traits that help contribute to defining someone as charismatic. Three of the most common sources of a person's charisma are their confidence, presence, and amiability. So it's the confidence we will be talking about today. We will be talking about presence and amiability. Charisma does not define everything you do. Charisma is not inherited as much as it is cultivated. So when we talk about charisma, we will come to an understanding of what charisma is and how we can make charisma part of our everyday activity as far as how we relate to people as leaders. Charisma is a captivating spirit that can be taught and caught. Charisma is a trait that can be cultivated.
Mm-hmm.
There is a saying where, just bear with me one moment. There is a saying, people sometimes say, either you have it or you don't. That is a false impression. See, we believe that people can be taught, people can be trained, people can change. Some people may not want to embrace change, but as we have thought on change, that there is nothing that is as permanent as change. Mm-hmm. We are changing every second, every moment of our lives. What is charisma? Charisma is having the ability to make people feel good about themselves. How often do we do that? How often do we exercise that ability? Do we indeed have the ability to make people feel good? When someone makes a mistake in our presence as leaders, what do? Do we rag on them? Do we put them down? Do we say something negative to them because they made a mistake? Mm-hmm. Or do we lend a helping hand, pick them up while they're down, let them know it's okay to make a mistake? The key here is to get up and try until you get it. So charisma is having the ability to make people feel good about themselves. So that means that we have to drop the attitude of being judgmental. Mm-hmm. Okay. Secondly, your attitude to make people feel good must be pure and genuine. Listen, if you say something just for the sake of saying it, people will know. Especially when you're dealing with kids. Mm-hmm. Have you seen that? Dealing with little kids, they will know, they will either like you or not like you. And they will know if you like them or you don't like them. It's like being around a dog. That dog would know if you like him or you don't. And he will respond in kind and might just so bite you. Charisma is the ability to disarm, entertain, and engage with people. So, do we have that ability? Do we disarm? Do we entertain and do we engage with people? How do we do that? How do we disarm people? Are we talking about being armed with a gun, with some sort of weapon? No. We're talking about disarming that person by making that person feel like they're on the same level, the same playing field with us. Do we use that ability to entertain people, to make them feel welcome and comfortable? Do we use that ability to engage with people? How does that come across? Charisma is the ability to make people feel like $1,000,000. Let me tell you, some people can make you feel like $1,000,000, and some people can make you feel like you are no bucks. They can make you feel like you're $0, mm-hmm. Like you're not worth a penny. Now, if that's part of our attitude, we need to drop it. As leaders, we need to make people feel valuable. As leaders, our job is to serve the people that we lead. Make them feel comfortable. Let them know that we are there to serve them, to help them, to become all that they were designed to be, to help them to do better, to be better, to have a better life. Charisma is like having a magnetic personality. How does a magnet operate? When we hear the word magnet, automatically we think about something being drawn to something else. But remembering that a magnet has two sides to it. One side can push and the other side can pull. Which are you? So let's talk about that magnetic personality. The one side of the magnetic personality can draw people to you. It pulls. But there are some people that has a magnetic personality but don't exercise the side that pulls, but the sides that push, like pushing people away from you on a very negative note. So while charisma sounds like a very enthusiastic way to be, there's also the negative side of that. We can bring people together, or we can certainly push them apart and create like a hurricane and cause disaster because of our negative personality. What is charisma? Charisma is a valuable professional trait that can seem mysterious to those who don't have a strong understanding of how it works. So we all have charisma. It's either going to be a negative charisma or a positive charisma. But the worst thing to be is ignorant, where we don't understand it. We have that ability, we just don't know how to harness it. We're not born with it. It can be taught. We can be trained. If you're looking to become more charismatic for an upcoming interview, or if you're pursuing professional development, it can be helpful to know what techniques to use to build up your charisma. So are we getting it? That charisma is something that we're not just born with. We don't automatically fall out of somewhere and have these special abilities to relate to people. So when we think of charisma, let's understand it's really having the ability to relate to people. We can do it either positively or negatively. The second point we're going to talk about today is confidence. What is confidence? Absolute belief and trust in someone or something. Confidence. Confidence allows a charismatic person to accurately assess the areas they excel in and to convey that knowledge to others through body language and speech patterns. A confident person generates charisma by representing the best version of themselves to others. So let's talk about that a little bit. We're talking about confidence. How do we let people know that we believe in them without actually using our vocal cords, without using speech? We can use body language to let people know if we accept them, if we are comfortable being around them, if we don't like them. And then we can use our speech to do so by making people feel very uncomfortable. We can display the best version of ourselves, or we can display the very worst version of ourselves. Within a couple of seconds, we can let people know if we like them or we do not like them. We can let people know if we care about them or we don't care about them, just by our reaction, our body language. Confident. So let's talk about confidence a little bit. How can you be confident? Stand firm and strong.
Hello? Hello?
Yes.
Yes, Mama. Good evening.
Okay, he's on the phone. All right, so we stand firm and strong. Keep your shoulders upright. Hold your head up. Give a firm handshake. How many times you meet someone for the first time, you put your hand out to shake their hand, and they shake the tip of your fingers? What, in your thoughts, what is your assessment of that person? It tells you right off the bat, they are not confident in themselves or in engaging in a relationship with you. Maybe something's bothering them. Maybe they're distracted, but something is off. They are not quite confident in themselves at that moment in time. Know well what you want to say. Be confident in who you are. Speak with clarity. Speak with authority. Be yourself. The worst thing that we can do is to try to be like somebody else, because we look at other people and what's working for them, and we want to be just like them because we think if we try to be like somebody else, it's going to, that what we do is going to work very well because it works for the other person. Not true. The best thing that we can do is to be ourselves. We are unique in who God made us to be. Remember that you are unique and there is value in who you are. Allow your feelings and emotions to flow through your demeanor. And I can say that in a good way and a bad way. Some people have some kinds of emotions, you don't want to let it loose. Emotions can get you in trouble, but let me just let you know that emotions is important. When speaking or communicating with people or with someone, it's important to utilize your emotions. It's important to utilize your feelings. It's important to utilize your thoughts. However, we have to control our emotions. We have to control our thoughts. We have to control the way we come across to people. Our demeanor should be that of something that is acceptable to make that person feel like $1 million. So, okay, you are a leader. You had a bad day. Somebody just hit the back of your car and your bumper is dragging on the road and you're upset. And now you have to go speak to your followers. And you get there and somebody says hello to you. And instead of you saying hi, you say hello, you said, what? Is that the emotion, the feeling, the thought, the demeanor that we want to express to people? The answer is no. I'll tell you a quick story. I said it before in some of my trainings that I was with a certain ministry at one point in my life. And one of the elders, ministers in the church, had this attitude towards little kids walking around and would tell them, go sit down, find your parents, and in this rough kind of way. And when you ask the reason was, well, the Holy Spirit was upon me and I had to, don't blame me. I don't mean anything by it. It's just when the Holy Spirit comes upon me, that's how it is. And I thought about that for a moment. I spoke to the pastor later on and I said to him, I have a question. My question is, when the Spirit of God comes upon you, does it make you feel whole, comfortable, peaceful like a dove, or does it turn you into a pig? Strong language, right? However, he looked at me and he said, you're right. So sometimes we get into that mode and that attitude that we have to behave in a certain way because to some people, it's how we were taught. And to some people, we just can control our emotions and our feelings because we were hurt by somebody else. So we're going to be like, sorry for being this raw, but like we're going to act like pigs to other people. We're going to talk to people in a certain way because people treated you in a certain way. It's not acceptable. It's not right, and it should not be done. At every given time, we have to lead people or speak to people as leaders, we need to control our feelings, control our emotions, control the way that we react, control the way we respond, and treat people with respect, great or small. We should be portraying an attitude of love and care and concern, and that of mercy and tenderness. Listen, this is not a game show. We put on our game face, we take off our game face. It's life, it's real life, it's relevant, it's here, it's now, and we need to be relevant for here, now, and today. And if we want to make an impact to this current generation, we need to stand up for what is right, what is true, what is just, and do that. Even if we have the crowd going against us because we're not popular, that's okay. We don't have to be popular. We just have to do what is right. Bishop, before we go on to this verse here, I want to use a reference. What are your thoughts about that? Taking a stand and not allowing our personal issues to get in the way of dealing with people.
Oh yes, thank you, Excellency. That is of absolute importance, because in functioning as someone with charisma, as we reach out to others, there are people who would have experienced the same hurt and pains that we as leaders have gone through. And we cannot have different values as we reach out to those who are hurting and looking for help. So it is important that we stand. It's important that we have a balance. You know, I use the term that Excellency used, the magnet. We must be able to attract, and sometimes, you know, you look at a magnet, you attract nice pieces of metal, some rusty pieces, and you know, but it's all attractive. You as a magnet, you got to know how can I help the rusty ones and how can I help the good ones. So you must be able to have a balance and have the capacity, the attractiveness, the confidence to deal with people, because everyone will not come to you smiling. Some will be grumpy, some will be obnoxious. And sometimes, you know, it's very easy to turn away from people like that. But we have to be able to see beyond that person and realize what turned this person into such a grumpy person, or how can we help? So I think confidence is of great importance in reaching out to others that are grumpy and not grumpy.
All right, Dr. White.
I think confidence is something that helps us not to internalize the things around us or what people say, because we know what we know. And so when we know what we know, we're going to put it into action. And being able to help the good, or what we label as bad, is what we're all about if we're supposed to be peaceful warriors. Our job is not to determine, I'm going to be nice to this person, as you said, Your Excellency, but I'm not going to be nice to this one. We have to maintain and be consistent in who we are, regardless of what we're facing.
Thank you. Thank you both, Excellencies.
Okay.
So I want to use a reference today as far as confidence, talking about confidence and Mary Magdalene. In the book of Luke in the Bible, and verses 36 to 48. Bishop, can you read?
Thank you. Verse 36 of Luke chapter 7 says, and one of the Pharisees desired him that he would eat with him. And he went into the Pharisee's house and sat down to meat. Verse number 37, and behold, a woman in the city, which was a sinner, when she knew that Jesus sat at meat in the Pharisee's house, brought an alabaster box of ointment. Verse number 38, and stood at his feet behind him weeping, and began to wash his feet with tears, and did wipe them with the hairs of her head, and kissed his feet, and anointed them with the ointment. Now when the Pharisee which had bidden him saw it, he spake within himself, saying, this man, if he were a prophet, would have known who or what manner of woman this is that toucheth him, for she is a sinner.
Before we turn to the rest of the verses, I just want to bring your attention to the Pharisee. Who was a Pharisee? A Pharisee, it was a self-righteous person, more of a hypocrite. Go ahead, Bishop.
Verse number 40. And Jesus answered and said unto him, Simon, I have somewhat to say unto thee. And he said, Master, say on. There was a certain creditor which had two debtors. The one owed 500 pence and the other 50. Verse number 42. And when they had nothing to pay, he frankly forgave them both. Tell me, therefore, which of them will love him most? Verse number 43. Simon answered and said, I suppose that he to whom he forgave most. And he said unto the woman, Thou hast rightly judged.
Go ahead, Bishop.
And he turned, verse number 44, and he turned to the woman and said unto Simon, Seest thou this woman? I entered into thine house, thou gavest me no water for my feet, but she had washed my feet with tears and wiped them with the hairs of her head. Verse 45, thou gavest me no kiss, but this woman since the time I came and had not ceased to kiss my feet. Verse 46, my head with oil thou didst not anoint, but this woman had anointed my feet with ointment. Wherefore I say unto thee, her sins which are many are forgiven, for she loved much. But to whom little is forgiven, the same loveth little. And he said unto her, verse number 48, thy sins are forgiven.
All right. We're talking about the confidence of Mary Magdalene, a woman that was judged by society, who had to do whatever she needed to do to support her life. She was a prostitute. Okay. Now, Jesus was invited by the Pharisee, who supposedly invited him to a party with his rich friends at his house, and with the intent to ridicule him. Now, I'm going to back up for a moment and just talk to you a little bit about that. See, Jesus displayed something very, very peculiar here. His body language. When he told Simon, he said, they were all talking about him and whispering among themselves. He says he's a prophet. Well, doesn't he know that this woman is a prostitute and he's associating himself with her? So while they were murmuring and talking all of that thing, in those days, the rich man, they did not have cars, they did not have buses or trucks or bicycles or any of what we have today. They commuted on animals like the horses and the cows and the donkeys and all of that. And the roads where the horses and the donkeys and all the other animals traveled was the same road that men traveled on. It was full of dust, dirt, and the heat. And what happened was they would wear these long robes and undergarment, and sometimes the robe may drag on the ground where the animal droppings might have been, and the dust, and the wind is blowing the dust on their hair, so they have these robes that partially cover their hair. And then their sandals, they didn't have the type of Nikes and all that, the great stuff we have today. So their feet would often touch some of that mess that's on the ground. So the rich man, the way that he conducted himself and he lived, he had like a foyer in front of his house where he would have a foot washer. And the designation of this person as a servant was to, every time someone would walk or come to the master's house, this foot washer would have them sit on a bench, take a basin of water, take off their robe, take a fresh towel, dip it in the water, wipe their face, wipe their hair, wipe the neck, and then wash the feet. And he would go to the shelf and take the perfume and put the perfume on their necks, on their face, give them a clean robe to wear and a clean slipper to walk into the master's house. Because back in the day, what they did then, how they greeted each other was with a hug and a kiss on the neck. And what happened was, when Jesus entered into this rich man's house, the servant was nowhere to be found, because Simon did not have his servant there being ready and prepared to do service to the master. See? See how some people think of other people. And now we're talking about confidence, but I want to show you something. Regardless of how Simon treated him with disrespect, with such great disrespect, Jesus walked in. And when he walked in, he had nobody to, he didn't get the opportunity to sit down. They didn't change his robe. They didn't wipe his neck or his face. They didn't put the perfume on his neck. They didn't wash his feet, give him a new slipper to wear. Here comes Mary Magdalene. And after they all being so judgmental, look what she did. She took that expensive box of alabaster perfume. She broke it and began to anoint him. And her tears fell on his feet. And she didn't have something, a towel to wipe it, to wipe the dust off. But she used a hair to wipe it off and put the expensive perfume on. And you see the difference in how people appreciate other people. But look at the confidence that she had in the master. And at the same time, look at the confidence of Jesus. Although Simon treated him in such a way, he sat down with them. Now, Simon said to him, because he was judging Jesus because of his affiliation with the woman, he said to Jesus, I have somewhat to say unto thee. What did Jesus say? He spoke with authority. He said, okay, say on. You want to be a judge? Go ahead. Now look at the part when the woman was accused and they spoke to Jesus. Don't you know who that woman is? Yeah, I do. What did he do? He spoke with authority, and he also showed the best version of himself. What was that? To be a forgiver. He said to the woman, thy sins are forgiven. The best version of himself, although he was mistreated when he came into the rich man's house, he did not take it out on the woman to say, oh, by the way, why are you at my feet? Why are you touching my feet? You're a harlot, you're a prostitute. Get away from me. You're gonna make me look bad. Do you know what people are saying while you're standing next to me? I need to separate myself because I don't want people to talk about me that way. See the way that we respond to people sometimes? We want to act and behave in a certain way, and when it starts coming and hitting home, we run away. As leaders, we need to stand firm. Take note of our body language. How do we stand firm? What do we do? In our speech, what are the things that we say when people start talking negatively? Stand with authority, stand firm. And what version of yourself do you want to portray when you get in these tough spots? Jesus was only being himself. He was not swayed by the attitude of the naysayers. So what did he do? He stood on solid ground and he was being himself. There's so many parts of truths we can talk about from a spiritual perspective, but we're not going there right at the moment. Dr. White, I know you have some thoughts on that.
No, this is really good because Jesus was not consorting with Mary so he could lay up with her later on. What he saw was a human being that was meek and humble. He looked beyond her faults to see the person. And when you are a confident person, you understand what love is. And Jesus gave her love. And so many times in our life, we misappropriate who is the right person and who is the wrong person. He knew the Pharisees was not right in his spirit, in his heart. And so Jesus was not there to be given recognition. You know, it said that human beings love recognition. Christ wasn't there for that purpose. He was there to help people to understand that they don't have to waddle in their sins, that he had come and that he was the one who could forgive them and set them right. And that's the confidence I believe we all have to have, that we know we are representing as ambassadors on earth, the Creator. And as such, we should walk boldly with our heads high, knowing that we can help people to see a difference in themselves.
Bishop Lamont.
Thank you, Excellency. What I'd like to focus here on confidence is the confidence that Mary Magdalene had. Knowing that she was a prostitute, knowing that women at that time were ostracized and they were looked down upon. And she knew what she was going to be facing, but she also had to have the confidence to go to Jesus with the intention that, would this man lift me up? Would this man make me feel like $1 million? Or would I be treated just like anyone else? Would he treat me just like anyone else? And the very thought of she beginning to wash his feet, in that culture, the washing of the feet, it symbolizes where the woman initiated the relationship, you know, to say, look, you know, I love you. I want you to lift me up. And that's why the whole conversation started about the one who owed much and the one who owed less. So here we see Jesus knowing who he was and the confidence he had in himself. He came and he even right in the midst of all the accusation, he was able to lift her out of the slums and really make her feel like a princess, make her feel like $1 million. So when she left there, she was on cloud 99. Not a finger could have been pointed at her because he was able to lift her up and give her that confidence to walk with her head high up. So I think even as we as leaders, regardless of the person that come to us, we must have the ability and the capacity to lift them up in the midst of all the accusation and condemnation. And even when they themselves feel like that, we must be able to lift them up and put them on that right road to recovery and strength and virtue. Excellency.
All right. Thank you, Bishop. Thank you, Dr. White.
Welcome, sir.
All right. So we spoke about confidence and we saw how we can utilize confidence towards people and how people look onto us with confidence, knowing that, having an expectation of how we would respond, how we would react in the midst of trouble, in the midst of when we have problems and we come to them, or when we are at a place where we can be judged, the type of confidence that we ought to carry. So the next point we're going to talk about is presence. Presence. Okay, what is presence? It simply means to show your existence. Means to prove that you're there. Presence is the trait that allows a charismatic person to give someone else their complete attention. Right? Let's pay some attention to that. Their complete attention and make them feel like they're being fully heard and understood. As leaders, do we do that? When people come to us, when they call out to us, do they get our complete attention? Are they fully heard? Or are we trying to multitask, doing numerous things while we're trying to somehow pacify the other people we should be listening to? Guess what? People are very conscious of that when they are getting our full attention and when they're not. And are they being understood? How do we come across to people when we get to that point? A present person's charisma comes from ensuring that the people they talk with always feel important in the conversation. Do we make people feel like they're important in the conversation that we're having with them? You ask yourself, is that person feeling important right now? By the words that I'm speaking, am I making them feel important? Like they're the only person on this planet that I'm speaking with. You see, here's the thing. We can speak with someone or we can speak to them. People don't often like being spoken to. They like being spoken with. It means it shows partnership. It shows a relationship. It shows a point of contact. It means you're hearing me. It means I have your full attention. It means you're understanding my needs or my concerns, or I might need a shoulder to cry on, so you're actually hearing me. Always feel important. Now, we're going to use a reference here about Bartimaeus, a man who was blind and begging on the road to Jericho, who needed some attention. And all he wanted was to show presence. There was a presence required. Dr. White.
They came to Jericho, and as they went out of Jericho with his disciples and a great number of people, blind Bartimaeus, the son of Timaeus, this is small, I'm so sorry, I can hardly read it, sat by the highway side begging. And when he heard that it was Jesus of Nazareth, he began to cry out and say, Jesus, thou son of David, have mercy on me. Thank you. And many charged him that he should hold his peace, but he cried the more a great deal, thou son of David, have mercy on me. And Jesus stood still and commanded him to be called. And they called the blind man, saying unto him, be of good comfort, rise, he calleth thee. Should I continue, sir? You're muted.
Yes, my apologies. Go ahead.
And he, casting away his garment, rose and came to Jesus. And Jesus answered and said unto him, what wilt thou that I should do unto thee? The blind man said unto him, Lord, that I might receive my sight. And Jesus said unto him, go thy way, thy faith has made thee whole. And immediately he received his sight and followed Jesus in the way.
All right. So we're going to talk about a couple of things here that happened in this conversation. Bishop Lamont.
Look at presence. We see number one, that Jesus stood still. In other words, here he's given his complete, full attention to a blind man that literally had to raise his voice above the crowd to get Jesus's attention, because there's always a multitude. So it is important that we give our complete attention to a person, whether blind or not. We must be able to do that. Secondly, we see where he was commanded him to be called, so he fully heard him. He did not ignore his cry. I'm sure there were others crying out, but there was something about this blind Bartimaeus cry that Jesus was cognizant of it, and he heard, and he commanded him to be called. So I think it is important that we give our hearing to the person or persons that we are dealing with. Then Bartimaeus, he asked him specifically, what can I do for you? And, you know, sometimes it's just take one question that you can find a number of answers as a result of one question being asked. And then we see the result of that one question. He felt so important that his request was granted, his eyes was open. Prior to that, when we were talking about Mary Magdalene, you know, when we're dealing with the presence of individuals and even our presence, you know, how often can we, if somebody come in with clothing that is really expensive and we give them a nice seat to sit, and somebody come in with looking like rags and tatters, would we take that person in rags and tatters and put them where the put other individual is sitting with their nice, what is a three-piece suit, a very expensive clothing? Will we do that? And many a times I have witnessed it over my life, where I've been to meetings and I've seen where other ministers who are really dressed up, pretty suit, expensive suit, nice socks and shoes, really, I mean, to the hills, they were given the chief seat. And, you know, you go with a shirt and pants, you just look ordinary, and you would sit among the commoners, so to speak, you know, and they kind of wear you. Well, you're not like that. And this is something that as in dealing with the presence of people, we have to avoid at all costs. Do not put one down above the other, because I believe as leaders, none of us have the right to look down upon any man or any woman, even if they are considered the scum of the earth. We do not have the right to do that. But we have the right, as we raise ourselves up, we must have the ability to raise others together with us and make them feel, I am really, really, really important. Excellency?
Bishop, well said.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Go ahead, Bishop.
So we have a nice word here. It's pronounced differently, amiability, and it simply means to display a friendly and pleasant attitude. And I think sometimes as men, you know, sometimes women may display this a lot faster than men, but even as men, we need to display that, a friendly and pleasant attitude. And it simply means, so what amiability means, it is what enables to that person in a friendly way, a trait that naturally, this trait naturally inspires others to trust. To trustable person generates their charisma. So I think that's the first thing. You know, it's like, if I should bring it to this term, you know, if you go to some places and there's a puppy or a full-grown dog, that dog can sense whether or not you are, you know, they can come and lick your hands, or you're fearful or something like that, and you can tell the reaction of the dog, because the dog, because of its instinct, it can pick things up. And sometimes people come in our presence and they can tell whether or not, well, you know, I sense that this man or this woman, they are not really friendly, so I'm gonna stay away from them. And so they are not able to approach them. They are not able to trust them. So and then there are others. I mean, they are the life of the party. You can just go right in, and so I don't think a person who is full of charisma is always someone who is always smiling and has a smile across their face 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But wherever that person goes, they know how to be a bridge to bridge the gap, to be friendly, to have a pleasant attitude, an aroma that oozes out of them. And so you can see from a million miles, so to speak, and people are drawn to them. And that's the kind of people or leaders we should strive to be, where people can be drawn to us, or on the other hand, we can go to people and be a blessing to them and allow that charisma that is in us to be generative towards them.
All right. Okay, I'm going to read this. There's a situation here with David and Jonathan, the son of Saul. I'm going to read from 1 Samuel chapter 18, verses 1 through 5. And it came to pass, when he had made an end of speaking unto Saul, that the soul of Jonathan was knit with the soul of David, and Jonathan loved him as his own soul. And Saul took him that day and would let him go no more home to his father's house. Then Jonathan and David made a covenant because he loved him as his own soul. And Jonathan stripped himself of the robe that was upon him and gave it to David, and his garments, even to his sword, and to his bow, and to his girdle. So we're talking about making people comfortable. Now look at what Jonathan did to make David comfortable. Most of the time we won't allow someone else to wear our slippers if they come to our house, right? Would you take your shoe out and give it to somebody else just to make them comfortable? Would you take your armor out and give it to someone else to make them feel accepted? Would you go before your father and plead with your father to accept somebody else? And David went out whithersoever Saul sent him and behaved himself wisely. And Saul sent him over the men. And Saul set him over the men of war, and he was accepted in the sight of all the people and also in the sight of Saul's servants. And it came to pass, as they came, when David was returned from the slaughter of the Philistine, that the women came out of all the cities of Israel, singing and dancing to meet King Saul, with tabrets, with joy, and with instruments of music. And the women answered one another as they played and said, Saul had slain his thousands, and David his 10,000s. Now, that was not so acceptable for the king to hear. And Saul was very wroth and saying displeased him. And he said, they have ascribed unto David 10,000s, and to me they have ascribed but thousands. And what can he have more but the kingdom? And Saul eyed David from that day forward. And Saul spake to Jonathan his son and to all his servants that they should kill David. But Jonathan, Saul's son, delighted much in David. And Jonathan told David, saying, Saul, my father, seeketh to kill thee. Now, therefore, I pray thee, take heed to thyself until the morning, and abide in the secret place, and hide thyself. And I will go out and stand beside my father in the field where thou art, and will commune with my father of thee, and what I see, that I will tell thee. And Jonathan spake good of David unto Saul his father, and said unto him, let not the king sin against his servant, against David, because he hath not sinned against thee, and because his works have been to thee ward very good. Here's what's happening here. See, because of the success of David, Saul became jealous. But look at the other side of this. Here is Jonathan, who acted with amiability towards David. Jonathan acted in such a way that he stood before his father. He gave David that which belonged to himself to make him feel comfortable, to make him feel accepted, to make him feel like you and I are one. How often would we take something that we have? How often would we stand firm for somebody we don't know just to make them feel accepted? Whether it's in our home, in our society, in our church, in our organizations. How do we treat people like that? So we're coming down to the end of this training session. I just want to go through now. We have 10 steps for improving our confidence, our presence, and amiability. Okay. These are techniques used to build confidence, presence, and amiability to become more charismatic. Like I said in the very beginning, it's not something you're born with. Either you have it or you don't. This is something that can be learned. Manage your nerves. Pace your speech. Talk about what you're passionate about. Listen with intent. Practice eye contact. Ask clarifying questions. Demonstrate a genuine interest. Remember little details. Keep things positive. Practice empathy. Don't just think in your mind that you care, show that you care. Managing your nerves. Let's talk about that for a moment. The biggest obstacle for most people looking to develop their natural confidence is overcoming their nerves. How do you do that? You practice. You practice. If we practice overcoming our nerves, we'll get it. Once you get started, you break the ice, you'll get it. Anxiety and nervousness are normal feelings when talking with people you aren't familiar with, especially if they don't do it often. You know, sometimes you can get to that place. I remember when I first became a young Christian and I wanted to learn how to pray and pray in tongues, and I'm walking down the road because it took me more than 2 miles before I could get out the road, and I'm walking like a crazy person praying in tongues and speaking loud, just me and God, and not realizing there were people that was in the bush listening and watching me like, there goes a crazy person. You got to practice. So back then I was practicing to speak with you today. See where it got me? Bishop? To reduce the amount of anxiety you experience, you can try.
Yes, sir, you're quite right.
Your conversation in advance and become familiar with the process of talking to new people by conversing with people you encounter in your daily life. Dr. White, can you do the slide?
Okay, thank you, sir. Number 2, pace your speech. When you're excited or nervous about something, it's not uncommon for your speech patterns to fluctuate. Number 2, practicing the pacing of your speech by timing yourself and actively working to speak at a consistent rate can help you develop a more confident and controlled tone in your voice when speaking with others.
Bishop Lamont.
And number 3, talk about what you are passionate about. When you're speaking with someone you don't know very well, the easiest way to help you build up confidence is to begin talking about things that you are passionate about. Or number 2, doing this will help you detach from the situation you are in, and it will shift your attention away from the fact that you're speaking with someone you are unfamiliar with. Or number 3, practicing this way will help you become used to speaking with new people and can help develop long-term confidence. I think this talking about what you're passionate about has really been exemplified on this platform, that we have not known each other, we have just met each other on this platform, but the conversation that we have gone across the platform has been wonderful, that we think we have known each other for our lifetime. And you know, and so this is what it's all about. We speak about what is passionate. Excellency?
Point number 4, listen with intent. When speaking with others, try to make a habit of listening to them with focus. Practicing active, intentional listening to your conversation. Your conversation partner will help reinforce that you value their time. See? Doing this will also naturally help you better understand your conversation partner's perspective on the things they're talking about. Point number 5, the writings are a little small, so I'm going to do this. Point number 5, practicing eye contact. Make eye contact while you're having conversations. Demonstrate to your conversation partner that you're invested in what they have to say and that they aren't competing for your attention. That's one of the worst things to do, to have to speak with someone and they feel like, I'm competing here. I can't get my point across. So they start talking faster just to get your attention. If you find it challenging to maintain eye contact throughout long conversations, it may be beneficial for you to practice by focusing your attention on another feature near your conversation partner's eye, such as their nose, glasses, or eyebrows. Making eye contact while you're having conversation demonstrates to your conversation partner that you're invested in what they have to say and that they aren't competing for your attention. If you find it challenging to maintain eye contact throughout longer conversations, it may be beneficial for you to practice by focusing your attention on another feature near your conversation partner's eyes, such as their nose, eyeglasses, or eyebrows. We're at bearing 7 o'clock, so we're going to come to a close on this. I just got 4 more points. Number 6, ask clarifying questions. When having a conversation with someone who is an expert in a topic, asking multiple questions to clarify what's being communicated to show the persons you're talking to that you are actively involved in the conversation and that you're working with them to help the conversation progress easily. Point number 7, demonstrate a genuine interest. Using body language, facial expressions, and direct language to demonstrate excitement and interest in the topic you're discussing helps your conversation partner feel more involved in your interaction. By practicing active listening and keeping yourself engaged, the person you're speaking with will usually feel more valued. See, that's the key. Point number 8, remember little details. When you're speaking with other people, try to make a conscious effort to commit to memory the little details they share with you. Bring these details up in later conversations will make the other person feel valued and heard, and encourage them to be more open with you. They will know that you were paying attention, that you actually cared. Keep these details in mind and will help you to provide with conversation starters with people in the future. For example, if a coworker mentioned to you they are going to attend their niece's birthday party over the weekend, a valuable conversation starter on Monday morning would be to ask them about the party and whether they enjoyed themselves. Point number 9, keep things positive. When conversing with others, try to keep things as positive as you can for the duration of your interaction with them. You will frame yourself as a positive and helpful individual to the people you talk with. And point number 10, practice empathy. Empathy is actually caring and showing that you care. It's not like feeling sorry for somebody and you can't do anything about it. When holding a conversation, keeping yourself aware of how your conversation partner is feeling and developing empathy with them will naturally drive you toward a more meaningful rapport. When you use your empathy to effectively gauge your conversation partner is feeling about the development of the topic at hand, you can guide the conversation accordingly. All right. So, I am just trying to get now on my view. All right. Thank you everyone for being present with us today. I trust that this session was beneficial towards us as leaders and utilizing confidence, presence, and amiability in the way we engage with people, how we respond, how we react, how we talk, our body language, and all of the good stuff. So now we're going to open this up for a couple minutes for questions and discussions. Just want to say that to those of us who has comments, let's try to keep it within the range of 1 minute for the sake of allowing others to engage. So with any questions, we will take questions.
Excellency, can you open up the full screen, please?
I'm trying. Is it showing small?
It still is.
I don't know what happened to it. Oh. Yeah, something happened to it there. So are you seeing, you're not seeing everybody else, Bishop?
I'm okay, I'm just spreading mine, so you can go on.
Okay. All right. Chief, big up.
Yo, that was very interesting. I learned a lot tonight. I know Jesus had a run-in with a prostitute. I ain't know nothing about that. I said, oh, check my man's out. Check him out. He was still out there in the Mr. Days. But he showed love, see? I mean, so, you know, when you learn to show love and you learn to keep that peace out with everyone, that's the key, because then now you can learn how to find peace with yourself first. And once you find peace with yourself, then you can stop and see, all right, let me help this person out. Let me help this young lady out. Let me help this young man out. Not many people are that strong anymore. So I appreciate the knowledge. Thank you very much. That was beautiful.
Thank you, Chief. All right, so we, Dr. Winston. Unmute, you gotta unmute, my brother. Yeah, you have to unmute. You have to unmute on your side. We don't hear you. You have to unmute it on your end. We can't do that here. All right, figure it out in the meantime and we'll get to you, okay? We can't hear. Gerard.
Hear me now?
Yes, sir.
God, I'm not one of these gurus with the IT business. I just want to say very quickly how these sessions have enhanced my life. I took it all for granted, I have to say. In my position as an ex-professional champion boxer and now a politician, I've taken everything in my stride. But this little group here and what people have to say is quite stunning. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Winston. All right, Gerard, where did you go?
I'm right here.
All right.
Did you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
High honors and gratitude, Royal Family. Always love you guys unconditionally. I was definitely enjoying everything. Everything resonates. And confidence is definitely important when it comes to understanding life and just the whole blueprint of the dynamics behind it. But the important thing is that I'm confident just as well as you guys, right? That we're going to change this world and we're going to revive humanity, and understanding that we're all fragments scattered, right? Until we come together by working together by understanding group economics, we will complete this mirror. And the mirror that we all reflect unconditional love through God's heart and his eyes. So we always have to understand he's always with us, no matter what. Whether you see him or you feel him, he's always present.
Well, thank you, my brother. I appreciate your thoughts. Professor Bhatti.
Shalom, shalom, everyone.
Shalom, Professor.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Wonderful teaching. 100%, I agree. Especially when we were talking about going by our presence, when we made reference to Mark chapter 10, if we look up from, the text we read, 45, also talk about Jesus saying to his disciples, that he did not come, to be served, but he came to serve. So it's good sometimes we go, for people. And then we present ourselves, see their plight, and then have compassion towards them. Sure, the circumstances around them may tend to pose a challenge of depravity where they may not have an opportunity or there will be a resistance. But as an ambassador, we should break the barriers. We should look beyond our environmental, deficiency and see into the problems and the need of the person and go extra mile. And that was what Jesus demonstrated. He went out for service, the same with Mary Magdalene. They all went out beyond, the environmental influence. And they were able to exhibit confidence in what they know to do best, and also, reach out in person and actually brought results. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate. I keep living. Every day is a new day.
Thank you so much. God bless
you all.
His Royal Majesty, King Kassom, it's such a pleasure to have you today.
Yes. Normally when I am in my jurisdiction, which I am now, I get so busy that I get exhausted at the end of the day. And it has been the reason why I have not been able to actually go through with you. Today Very, very beautiful topic. Very attractive. But unfortunately for me, reception has not been the best to me. Talking about being amiable or generally being charismatic, I would say charisma, as all other traits of men, can be natural. You may say somebody is endowed with it, but in every trait, you also can train yourself, like you said. Yeah, but every charismatic person is a man who, when he stays, when he's speaking to you, you feel love, you know, so he demonstrates that he cares about you, and you can feel that he understands or he feels what you are feeling. And he wants to, he's prepared to help you come out of your difficulty. So in communication, to be accepted, there are some strategies you take. I haven't gone through the whole topic today, but somewhere you talk about how to solve nervousness. When I was in high school, and it was a minor seminary, we were taught little tricks like taking deep breath. When you feel nervous, you breathe in and release yourself. You do it about 3 times, and then you are stabilized. To be able to communicate, you also, when I was young, I learned to, like you said, to talk to the wind. I remember when I found that trick, I used to go to the riverside. I'll go to the river and I read aloud because I wasn't very, my tongue wasn't the best. But you go to the riverside, you just read aloud. Just like you said, when you were learning how to pray, you are moving along and you are praying in tongues and praying. And somebody may even see you and think that this is a crazy person. Of course, when you go to the riverside, normally you have places where you can be alone and practice this. It is really a great time to be in these sessions. So much to learn to make you a better person in life to accomplish. I think I don't regret for being with the group. It's excellent. And I wish to recommend this for many people, many others. Okay, thank you.
Majesty.
Yes. And today I'm very happy to see the whole complement of my team. Professor Ojoy, Professor Dako, Patrick Dako, and all the people, my own senior bishop, Comfort, be blessed. And all the house, the whole house, I give my greetings.
Greetings. Thank you so much, Your Majesty.
Yeah.
All right. Chief Elso.
Peace. This was another great lesson. It teaches us that once a leader has charisma, he or she can lead and learn to solve problems through diplomacy and patience. And that's what we need in our communities worldwide. Yeah, this is another beautiful lesson.
Thank you.
Thanks again, and let's continue on.
Noble Thornton.
Peace and light to everybody in their respectful places. How you doing, His Excellency and Bishop? How you guys doing?
Good, all good. Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah. first of all, high honors to everybody in the class today. Between last session and this session, I didn't get to speak last session, but that women empowerment movement that was going on last Thursday, yeah, that was good. That was really good. I love today's session about, especially talking about charisma and rubbing off good energy on people, to get positive results and stuff, and just thinking positive and living in that light as much as we can. There are times where, all of us can fall short, but as long as we keep on being optimistic towards everything that we do, then we're moving in a positive direction. So thank you for this excellent lesson today. I learned a bunch, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. His Excellency Mercy. Excellency Mercy. Dr. Grant, Kimberly Grant.
Yes, good. Thank you so much for this. It's always a pleasure. Greetings to everyone. Thank you so much for this awesome teaching. I'm just learning so much, and I look forward to these Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I just feel so blessed to be a part of this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Grant. Esther Duff.
Good night, everyone. Good night to the panel. I'm sorry, I had to just step away for a minute. The class this evening, from what I gathered, I was just away for about 5 minutes. I really appreciate everything that was said. Patience is something that I'm working on because it was not one of my traits, I must admit. But I'm really learning a lot on this platform, and I really thank you for having me. And so we'll continue to listen and to join. Thursdays and Tuesdays are really special to me. So I thank you very much, Dr. Kiwi.
All right. Thank you, Esther.
You're welcome.
Jairus Liebert.
Good evening, everyone. Your Excellency Dr. Kiwi, the rest of the panel, my brothers and sisters from across the globe. Just want to say that this evening's session was very special to me. My takeaway from this is going in the sense of charisma, the ability to have people drawn to you, as we use the term as a magnet. It means that you become unbiased and impartial towards people. When we start looking at people in a holistic sense, rather than start to assume what we want them to be, who they should be, who we want to align ourselves with, that sends a different picture. As Christians, we need to be humble. We need to be free. We are servants of God. And it means that we need to reach out to those. If we need to be biased, let's be biased to those who are less fortunate. And we shouldn't have bias, but if we should be, let's be to those who are less fortunate, who would take the time and listen to us, because those who are somewhat downtrodden are the ones who tend to give us a better ear because they're feeling pain. And if we learn to listen, we'd understand clearly what the person is saying, what their pains are, and we'd be able to give suggestion, counsel, lead them in the right direction. But we must continue to continue with these sessions. I'm loving the sessions. So, I'm trying not to miss any of these sessions, and I'm taking away bit by bit every day. I mean, in our work, we would have gone to lectures and seminars, we would have repeat some of these things, but sometimes you hear it from a different angle, and it sticks in a different way. So you tend to gravitate to it in a different way. So I'm grateful, and I continue to enjoy these sessions, and I continue to put into practice on a daily basis that which I have learned on these platforms.
Thank you.
Have a pleasant night, everyone.
Thank you very much. Noble Thornton. Oh, no. Chief Meswaki.
Yes, peace and blessings to everyone. Thank you, His Excellency, Dr. Kiwi, for that wonderful, that was a great lesson. I wanted to talk about one of the key points that you touched on that always seems to boggle others' minds, but, you know, coming into, I would say, a higher learning or development where your heart becomes more open and accepting of individuals, where we are not so much on the structure of judging ones, or even being ashamed to be around those individuals because they are in a circumstance where they may not know any better, or they choose to behave in a certain manner even while knowing better. We have to teach individuals like that from a sense where we can educate them to the principles. We can bring them to the common principles and the common ethics. These are like goals that we can, you know, illustrate for individuals who wish or desire to become better. I think that offering individuals the hope and, you know, the wanting to embrace higher learning and higher principles in order to bring balance to their prominent nature or how they were brought up is an excellent approach. And a lot of people, such as group leaders, need to pay very good attention to things like that, because it becomes very useful. It's much needed in the communities so that we can help people not to feel more like a sense of guilt, but a sense of I can become better, and I feel good about myself now that I know I am not being judged in a negative way. But that does give me the idea to maybe take a look at myself even more and try to work on myself so that I don't, you know, get that type of judgment or, you know, bad look from another, you know, any other people that may be outside of the organization that care nothing about the principles you're learning from. They'll use that in your face. They'll tell you that, well, if you're a Muslim or if you're a Christian, why are you acting that way? You know, and these are the things that, you know, we don't want to bring about while, you know, conducting our natural affairs as peace ambassadors or diplomats, agents or officers of the government, our own government. We want to keep a positive look. We want to demonstrate at all times that type of approach or that type of behavior. Guard our actions and keep them sacred. Keep them locked in your bosom. Keep them right here in your heart. And every day when you awaken, you'll bring about that positive energy, that balance and that harmony where people can see it in your auras. It's like a glow. It's like an energy that everyone can sense. Well, I like this person. I can tell that this individual has some sense. Sometimes people can judge us from our outer appearance. We may have tattoos that give off the impression that we carry a negative background or past. And that's why it's always good to display good actions first. So I thank you for that part of the lesson and all of the lesson. We don't want to cut out of that. All of the lesson was great, but that part right there, it really touched. It touched some areas. Thank you, Kiwi.
All right, thank you very much, Chief. All right, we have come to the end of our program today. I want to thank the panel, Bishop Lamott, Her Excellency, Dr. White, and all the honored, excellent guests. We want to just say thank you very much for your time, your effort, your presence. We value your presence here and your support. I want to say God richly bless you, and looking forward to see you on next Tuesday for another wonderful time. So may the grace of God rest upon you, and we will see you on next Tuesday. Blessings and have a wonderful night.
Good night. Great night, everyone.
Good night. Blessings to you all. Peace and love.
Good night, everyone. Take care.
All right.
Good night, Bishop Lamont.
Good night.
Peace and light, Cheryl White.
Good night. Good night.
Good night.
Love you all. Travel well.
Greetings.
Travel well, everyone. Love you
Peace
all.
and love. Blessings to you all and good night.
Your Excellency, we
Wherever
missed your number that day, please. We missed your number. I tried what I got. I couldn't get in touch with you. So I think I missed your number. Please, can you come up again?
Oh yeah, it's you want my phone number? 646.
Yes, please. 640.
No, 646.
Okay.
202.
202.
3618.
3618.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is this the WhatsApp, please?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. God bless. God
All right.
bless.
God bless. Bless you.
Shalom. Okay, sir.